Hi everyone, we are back for our Vintage Lens chats, and today I have a guest that is a great friend and also someone that a lot of you know already. It's of course Ron Sim, CSC, the founder of Simmod Lens. Hi Ron,
Hey,
thank you
Alan, how are you?
for joining me today. I'm
Thank you
excited
for
to chat
having
to
me.
you this Saturday.
Absolutely. It's always a pleasure.
A lot of people in our community know you already, but then there will be a few that don't know you. So could you start off by just talking about your own journey as a TP, and how you got to this point?
Well, I grew up in Windsor, Ontario, in Canada. So I grew up in a very blue collar town where everything was situated around manufacturing for the automotive industry. So I grew up around machinists and engineers and mold makers and things like that. But I wanted a different path in my life, so I decided to go towards the arts and towards cinematography. And it took a lot of convincing for my parents to allow me to go to film school. So once I went to film school, I came out of film school and I became a combat photographer. And I did 4 tours Afghanistan, 5 tours Iraq, multiple locations around the world of natural disasters and geopolitical unrest. So I did a lot of coverage for a lot of the major networks around the world. It was a different part of my life and a different time in my life where you're young and you feel like there's this shield in front of you, nothing can happen to you. But then life finally caught up, and I got married, and I transitioned my work towards commercial cinematography. So from there, my agents started submitting me for more commercial work to do work for some of the largest brands in the world. So I was very, very fortunate to be able to make that transition from combat to commercial. Um, and it's been a great journey, and I've been very blessed to have that life that I have.
Awesome. So obviously this is a vintage lens chat. So you need to tell me how you actually got into vintage lenses and why.
So when I got married, my wife decided that she wanted to go to med school, and I want to support my wife, and I continue to. And I was shooting as a commercial DP, and I was making a great living. However, anyone can imagine, going to med school incurs a lot of cost, and we didn't want to go into debt after she graduated. So it was my goal to do whatever I could to support her and pay for the medical school tuition. So as I was shooting, I started modifying vintage lenses. And I've been modifying vintage lenses since I was in film school because I couldn't afford the expensive and most current lenses. So I went to the Salvation Army and I modified whatever lenses I could find just for my own use. But through the years, people started asking me to modify lenses for them. So I actually started to buy lenses while my wife was in school, and started modifying them for others to buy from me. And I would meet people in grocery store parking lots and some weird places just to buy these vintage lenses because people were just selling them and getting rid of them. And I would convert them and sell, and then I would use that money to pay for my wife's tuition. So I don't come from a family of means or anything like that. I don't even come from a family that's in our industry, but I did whatever I had to do to make ends meet, and selling vintage lenses that were modified was the impetus for me to start Simmod Lens.
So what was the first lens that you actually picked up all the way back when you first started buying them at Salvation Army and places like that? You remember what was the first
Yeah, the
lens?
first vintage lens I ever bought was a Leica R 60 millimeter macro 2.8, and it is to this day my favorite lens.
That's a pretty impressive first lens, I must say. My first lens was $5.
I
Well,
think I
vintage
think I
one.
didn't I didn't spend much more than that. I probably spent maybe $30 on that lens. Yeah.
So you've spoken a little bit about, your journey to CMOD lens, but I'm sure a lot of us have done a little bit of that. Purchased the lens. Maybe done some modifying to it, maybe not, maybe clean it or whatever. Maybe hired someone to do it, and then eventually sold it. Maybe made some money. Maybe done it again. But Simmod lens is completely different level than this sort of hobby, if you will, that a lot of us take up. What actually made you go into creating a proper company and developing new products, constantly releasing, and basically dedicating your life to it?
Yeah, so like I said, I was actually just converting lenses to sell to make ends meet. And it got to a point where I was converting so many lenses for so many people and selling them around the world that I was purchasing parts from sources on a daily basis. And it came to a point where I remember one time I bought maybe $5,000 or $6,000 worth of parts from a supplier, and I asked them for a little discount. And the answer that I received was no, I cannot give you a discount. And at this point, I had bought thousands and thousands of dollars from this supplier, and his answer was no to me. And that really made me feel upset that I wasn't, I guess I wasn't being treated properly because it wasn't fair to me. So I from there I decided to make my own parts because, like I said previously, I grew up from an area where there are thousands of machinists, CNC operators, and mold makers. Because in Windsor, Ontario, it's a blue collar town. So I mastered some certain things in machinery, and I know how to operate certain things. So I figured, I'm going to make my own parts, and if this is going to be a larger than I expected endeavor, then I need to be able to control the prices that on the things that I need. So that's how it all started. It all started with one little ring that we made and started selling, and people kept asking, can you make this size? Can you make this ring for this? And that's how it all got started.
You see, Jan Smok is saying Simmod is a step not many have taken. I fully agree with that. I honestly couldn't put in so much time that you've put in and keep putting in. Another comment from Jan. They went full professional support in the community, which is absolutely right. Yeah, it's certainly the community, right? It's the community that makes it possible. I am myself so grateful to the community because yeah, I've done some interesting things thanks to the community, and this is who we do it for, right?
Absolutely, Ellen. And I give my utmost sincere thanks to everybody in the community because I'm proud to say that to this very day, we've not spent a single penny on advertising. Every promotion and everything that we release and get put on the market is basically sold through word of mouth and from user reviews and honest publications that people would post and through Instagram, through Facebook, through the forum. And we're going to keep it that way. We're not going to spend a single dollar on marketing because we'd rather put our capital into developing than advertising.
Indeed, I agree with that. So we've spoken on IG Live about a year ago, and a lot has happened at Simmodland since then. Just, I guess, give me at least a few updates on what has been happening, new products, new developments. What's new?
Yeah, well, we moved into a brand new production facility in Windsor, Ontario, because if for those who don't recall, we started in Bloomington, Indiana, while my wife was in school. So we moved to a brand new facility in Windsor, and since then we've upgraded a lot of our facilities to handle the equipment that we needed to do things in house. So we've upgraded our collimators. We have multiple lasers. We have multiple calibration benches that we use for certain things. And a lot of things that we're doing now is testing. So we're developing new products and we're testing on how that product will interact with light, with the images that gets made from it, how it fits onto certain cameras and adapters, and how that piece of glass will create an image or a look that a certain DP may be looking for. So we've become basically not just a manufacturing company, but we've become a research and development company. So that's where we're putting most of our efforts into right now. And the new facility that we just moved in allows us to become that company.
So could you maybe talk a little bit more about, the recent updates I've seen on Facebook? You've got, I think, not just 1 kilometer, but two or so. You've got this hugely impressive projector, and who knows what else behind the behind the doors. These are very expensive tools. I know. I
Yes.
know. You know, what's sort of the plan for? Well, you've spoken about it just now, obviously, but this is this is a serious investment into the company, if you will. What's sort of the plan going forward with all this equipment, with all those huge investments?
Mhm. Well, we have multiple collimators. There are certain lenses that we're experimenting with and looking into developing parts for that don't have mounts for the normal or the general collimator that we have. So, and we've developed our own tools as well, where we can test these certain lenses and see how it interacts with light and how to bring things into spec. So we have 4 collimators here in our office, and then we have 2 projectors as well. We have a Croisel TP7 projector, which is the same ones that a company like Arri would use to bring their lenses into spec. So we're trying to get as close as we can to what a manufacturer of a lens company would have, and we're trying to get to that level so that we can produce at a quality where we're not sacrificing anything at all. So, and right now, honestly, Alan, we're on a 3-month sprint. So I mean, if somebody were to ask me, what's your plan for the next 12 months or the next 24 months? We don't have a plan for a 24 or 12-month strategy. Our strategy at the moment is 3 months. If something works, we'll innovate it and we'll develop it. If it doesn't work, we'll dump it within that 3 months, because we need to be nimble and we need to be able to change with the industry and with the needs of our customers. So that's the trajectory that we're at right now, and that's what we're focusing on. And having the equipment that you mentioned allows us to do that.
Okay, well, that was my, I guess, personal question. I was very curious to know because I know this stuff is really expensive. So yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
and yes, and again, we're doing a lot of things in-house. A lot of our R&D is all in our Windsor facility here, and basically everything I have here is my office, and I guess I consider it my lab. And being nimble and small allows us to do that, whereas a big company would have to go through so many hurdles just to get something on the market. So for me, if I can get something developed, but in January, I want to release it in March. Again, we're on that 3-month sprint to get things launched.
All right. So we have a few comments. This is Jonathan Niels, but we can't see your face and your name because you need to allow StreamYard to see them on Facebook. So do that and we'll be able to show you properly. We've got John. This is awesome. Ron has best products. Agreed. Well, that might actually be John, but just, yeah, that must be John and Niels, but just on YouTube. And we have our great friend Mark Holz joining in. Thank you. Nice
Mark,
to see you, Mark. Can't
I'll
wait
see
to
you
do a
next
live
week,
stream.
Mark.
What are you doing next week? Spill the beans.
I'm meeting Mark at Arri Canada to do some testing on some new products.
Oh my God.
And for those who don't know, I went to film school with Mark. Mark and I have been great friends. We've known each other for, God, 20 years, 25 years. We were small teenagers when we first met. It's great
Awesome.
times.
Awesome. So let's get into one of the latest and I think one of the most interesting products that you've released, LPL conversion kit. LPL is a new mount. There seems to be a lot of confusion. There seem to be some great benefits in LPL mount. And we've spoken about this on Facebook, and a lot of exchanges, a lot of questions and answers within the community. But maybe we can finally sort of meet here today and explore the LPL mount and the conversion kit, and the reason for doing that.
Absolutely. So a lot of, I mean, one of the major questions that we get with LPL mounts when we first launched was, can I use this lens on a PL camera? And the answer is no. LPL and PL are two different mounts. However, they both have a positive locking mechanism to install the lens on the camera. I think through the years, what we've been getting asked to do is to convert certain lenses to PL. I get emails on a constantly daily basis. Can you convert my Canon FDs to PL? Can you convert my Leica R to PL? And the answer would always be no, because of the long flange distance on PL, you'd have to change the geometry of the elements to make it meet that flange distance requirement, and you simply can't do that. So when LPL came out, and it's not even new, LPL's been out for 4 or 5 years now. It's just been a little bit slower to adapt to the market. When LPL came out, LPL has the exact same flange distance as EF. So it's a shorter flange distance, which means the distance between the back of the sensor and the back of the lens is shorter. It doesn't need to be as long as a PL lens would require. So because it's the same flange distance as EF, you can imagine that all the lenses that we were able to convert to EF can essentially now go to LPL. And when we first started getting questions, can you convert to PL? One of the reasons why people wanted to convert to PL was to have that positive lock onto the camera, from the lens to the camera. And now we can create that. Now that is possible with LPL.
So EF mount used to be the king, at least at Simmod lens. Just probably the favorite, the most popular product. And now, at least from my perspective, I think you want to introduce people to LPL as a better alternative. So what would be the advantages? You said same flange distance, it can be one or the other. Why would one choose LPL over EF mount?
I think one has to remember that the EF mount was designed specifically for photography use. It was never designed to be used in cinema. And when you think about a photo lens, it's made to take 1 or 2 photos in a second. It's not made to take 24 frames per second. It's made to take 1 photo, and the photographer would change the focus or zoom in and out, and that would be it. Now you find yourself taking an EF lens and putting it on a cinema camera, a lens that was never designed to be used in cinema, and we're trying to make it work. So when you're using an EF lens and mounting it onto a cinema camera with an adapter that wiggles or would move every time the focus motor connects with the focus barrel, you're going to shift. You're going to see some shifting. Either you're turning that focus barrel by hand or with a motor, that lens will start to shift because of the connection between the lens and the body. It was never made to have that secure connection. So there's always the disadvantage to go to EF. It was made possible to convert to EF for Cine. We sell thousands of EF conversion mounts. However, with the new LPL conversion system, it's a much more robust system. You've got a positive lock that connects to the camera from the lens. You've got so many advantages, such as rear filtration. It's actually it's that positive lock, and it's that connection to the body of the camera that creates such a robust system, and it's much better than EF.
Could we talk a little bit more about that filtration? Because to me, it's probably one of the more exciting things about LPL. Obviously, I love the positive lock. I always recommend anyone try, converting lenses to something, try to go for something that's positive lock, either PL or LPL. But the filtration, that's an interesting one. And that's almost the only mount that can do that, because you can't really do that with most of the PL conversions, because the back sticks out a lot, and obviously EF, there's there's not a chance. But filtration and LPL, to talk us through that.
Yeah, so I mean, Arri came out with the impression filters that allow you to snap on a magnetic filter to the rear of the lens. So we've simply adapted that same method in developing our own filters. We work with Arri to develop this system, and they've allowed us to adapt it with ours. So with our filter system, you basically put a magnetic pilot on the back of the lens. And once you have that magnetic pilot installed in the lens, which just basically screws on, you can use our filters to just attach right onto it. Now, the benefit of filtering from the rear is astronomical, actually, when you think about filtering on vintage lenses. One, you don't need a matte box to install in front of the lens to get cinema quality filtration, such as mist or glimmer or glisten or anything like that. So you're taking the weight off the barrel of the lens and you're taking the weight off the helicoid of the lens. Two, you're filtering from the rear, so it creates an entirely different image when filtering from the rear, and it's constant between each focal length. I mean, if you're shooting a wide shot, you're using a different amount of diffusion. And when you're switching to a close-up, you can't use that same diffusion in a close-up because the images would change from different focal length. With rear filtration, that stays constant. It's that one density, it's that one strength of filter that gets carried throughout the whole the whole set of lenses. And it's quick. You just basically snap the lens or take the lens off, mount it on, and mount it right back to the body. There's no time wasted putting a filter into a frame, sliding into a matte box, putting the matte box on the lens, etc. So it's much more quicker.
Mm-hmm. So you already mentioned that, same lens that can be converted to EF can be converted to LPL. But for people who don't know, all the ins and outs of even the EF conversion, just from, I guess, the lenses that you already convert to LPL, which lenses can be converted to LPL without a full rehousing, just using your mount?
Yeah, so any lens that you see on our website, like our Contact Zeiss, Pentax Takumar M42 lenses, Nikon F lenses can be converted to LPL. Olympus OM lenses can be converted to LPL, and of course, our most popular, the Canon FD line, can all be converted to
Yes,
LPL.
the Canon FD line. I saw a comment here from John. I'm going to convert all my FDs to LPL. Excited.
Good
Yes.
choice.
You still have, Ron, you still have some of my Canon FDs.
I do.
Yes. This is our private joke at this point, but I want them in LPL now.
I can do that for you. That's not a problem, my friend.
Yeah, now I'm more excited about LPL, honestly. Like EF is great, but I'll take positive log plus ability to filtrate any day.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yes,
And in my opinion, you're future-proofing your investment because you're spending some money to convert these lenses. So why not future-proof them for what's coming down the road? And I've spoken to reps at Arri and other camera manufacturers. You've got Arri investing probably millions of dollars into this LPL system, and even their Alexa 65s now have LPL mounts as well. So every new camera that you'll see coming out from Arri will be LPL. So it's not going away. And when you really think about the benefits of LPL and from a lens designer perspective, it opens up a whole new Pandora's box of what you can do just with that shorter flange distance.
yeah, agreed. In some ways, EF mount is becoming a vintage mount, if you will. It has been discontinued, more or
It
less, right?
has. It has. And like I said, it was originally designed for photography. And when Canon came out with the EF lenses, their lenses were autofocus and they had a little motor inside. It was
Yes.
called the ultrasonic motor. Every time
Yes.
you press the shutter button halfway, it would just turn and control that motor. It was never designed for 3 or 5 fingers to twist and turn a lens constantly or a motorized gear to control it back and forth on set daily. So it's never made to be a robust system for cine. It was only made for one photo at a time.
This is the main reason why I got into vintage lenses. I might have told it in some posts or, in some chats, but that was the reason. I was a Canon EF L, whatever. I was one of the 5D Mark II guys because I was into photography at the time. I was using Canon EF glass already as a Canon stills shooter. And, I started video finally, with that new camera got me really excited. And I was using Canon EF glass, and I know all the things that you just described. That's the reason why I got into vintage lenses, because I tried one. I picked up a Helios for $5, and it was fully metal, and it had hard stops, and it had long throw, and it was butter smooth. And when you would compare it to the Canon EF glass, which had short throw, really grindy sort of focus ring in comparison, because honestly, they did not care about the manual focus on those lenses. It was all about making them great for autofocusing, right?
Absolutely.
Manual focus was almost like a backup feature. So obviously they were not that great for manual focusing. They were always intended to be autofocus lenses, first and foremost. So when I discovered that in vintage lenses and at a lower cost and an interesting image, I was like, wow. And
Yeah.
that's how it started, and it is, my passion is still there, but that's how it started. And yeah, EF.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember converting my lenses first to EF by soldering and using glue really on certain metals and trying to get it to work, and it worked. And I remember seeing that an image for the first time with a lens that was vintage, and I looked in the viewfinder. I'm like, oh my God, there's an image. It was like, yeah, no, it's going to create an image, but that moment that you get when you first see that image coming through from that lens, it's a nostalgic moment, and I'll never forget it.
Yeah, EF was great. It was amazing. But yeah, LPL is definitely a future in so many, for so many reasons. So I think hopefully we demystified the reason why LPL is a pretty cool choice.
Yeah, and we're coming out, and along there are other manufacturers that are coming out with adapters to go from LPL to some of the most popular cameras that are coming out right now. So, it's not going away anytime soon, and there's going to be continued innovation around that mount. And from our perspective, we're going to even be launching more filters and more innovation specifically for that rear filtration system.
So this is a good time to announce the giveaway, guys. So hour or two before the live, I reached out to Ron and said, "Can we give away something?" Because StreamYard I'm using for streaming has this giveaway feature, and I'm hungry to use it whenever I can. So Ron agreed to give away an LPL conversion kit. So everyone who's joining in today, please comment LPL below. Just that. Don't need to comment anything else in that comment to make sure that the entry gets registered in the giveaway software. Just comment LPL, and at the end of the stream, we'll pick a winner of the conversion kit. And then you'll contact Ron and tell him which particular version you need. So get entering, guys. Do we have some entries? Yes, we have 4 entries already. People are joining in. Thank you. So, 5. Oh, it's coming. It's coming. One thing. Anyone who's watching on Facebook, Vintage Lens for Video group, I'll show you what's happening. If you are not allowing StreamYard to see your name, then I won't be able to see who entered, So make sure there's a link in the description. You will see streamyard.com/Facebook. Just allow StreamYard to see your name. Then when we pick the winner, at least we will be able to tell that it's you. Because you see, like, Mark is doing it correctly, Daniel is doing it correctly, Anthony is doing it correctly. So whoever else is commenting on Facebook, Vintage Lens Video Group, please make sure that your comment shows up correct. So just do it again, and that's gonna work well. So let's go through some of the comments because we've had a few. Matthew Douglas joining. Thank you, Matt.
Hey, Matt.
Nice to see you. Look forward to doing a live with you in hopefully the next few weeks or a month or so. We'll arrange a date. That would be awesome.
I don't think Matt qualifies for a free LPL though.
Daniel
He's
Fox,
already
our
got
friend.
his.
Oh, okay. Well, I need to get mine then, because I feel left out. Daniel Fox, our friend Daniel Fox, made a good comment about making a list of lenses that can be modded to PL, and that list will be very short, which is a joke, but a very correct joke. There are barely any lenses that can be converted to PL. So if you want a positive lock, LPL is the way. Unless you rehouse the lenses, but that's a completely different subject. If you want to modify your lenses and you want a positive lock, LPL is the way. We've got one from Mark here. We go way back. Yes, as Ron said it. Yes, that we've seen already from John. Matthew Duclos says, well said, perfect explanation of pros and cons of the EF mount. We still love PL, EF mount, but, it is what it is. An interesting comment here. I don't know who asked this. Let me see. No, I can't see on Facebook who asked this. But yeah, a Facebook user asked if LPL supports 70 millimeter and full frame. I guess a larger format and full frame, like 70 millimeter film. Would that be correct? Or wait, is there 70 millimeter film?
I'm a bit confused by that, so I can't really give an answer.
I wonder if what he meant was something that I was wondering about as well, and that is obviously LPL is quite a large mount at the back.
It's wider,
So
yes.
yes, so as image circles are becoming larger, and as people are using more sort of large format lenses and even medium format lenses, wouldn't LPL technically then be more suitable for that than EF, or am I getting it wrong?
Actually, that's a question for Daniel Fox, and I prefer that he probably answer it better than I can. And it's probably not a subject that I think people need to worry about right now, because there's so much confusion with what LPL can do that, and what part of the glass is going to be used, or it all depends on a lot of multiple factors that you have to consider in order to make that distinction. So I think it actually confuses people more than it actually helps.
Well, there are further explanations here. Let's see. Anthony asked if he meant 65, which is what I meant. I thought as well, but there is a 70 millimeter film, right? Daniel says Alexa 65. Yes, it got all a bit confusing, but yeah, obviously full frame coverage is no problem for LPL, but no limitations beyond that, right?
I mean, we projected medium format lenses to LPL, and it will cover way beyond full frame.
Yeah, well, that's I guess the answer that we needed here. Yeah, Matthew Douglas not entering giveaway because he has LPL already. I'm not entering the giveaway, so you guys make sure to enter the giveaway. Right, what else we have here? Ooh, look at that. Don't forget, Optical Sport are officially doing Simmod lens conversions in UK now also. Who commented that? Why am I not seeing who was making
That's a great point. I mean, we partnered with a lot of our industry friends to do the conversions ourselves. So earlier this year, we actually transitioned away from modifying services, and we've handed that over to our industry friends, such as Duclos in Los Angeles and Optical Support in the UK, Paris Optical Center in France, and STC in Australia. So and in Dubai even. So we've got a pretty large pool of industry experts that can easily modify these lenses for you if you're not comfortable doing the cut conversion yourself. Oh, and if you're in Canada, you can contact Salmo Cine in British Columbia.
Yes. Yes. So many great places where you can get this stuff done now, and even in UK, which is brilliant. Um, you and Ron have to come over to UK so we can have a coffee here.
We will do that.
Don't make me go. um, what else we have? Um, Interesting one from Anthony. LPL and focal reducers, mainly for medium format lenses. Is that something that can be used?
Absolutely. I think I forget the brand. Kipan, I think, has one with an LPL with and a focal reducer. So it's absolutely used, absolutely possible. And I'll tell you right now, we're in the midst of developing something similar.
Nice, nice. Because I think that that's one thing that I saw maybe on Facebook with people saying, but EF is so easy to use with focal reducers, right? And that was a fair point because there were so many affordable ones and more expensive ones made for EF over the years. And that was one thing that we didn't really have a lot of until now for LPL because it's still, at least in comparison to EF, it's still a new mount. Obviously, it's not a new mount
It
in
is.
general, but there's still so many products that can be made for LPL.
Absolutely. And a focal reducer, again, is something that we're working on. I said earlier that we're on a 3-month sprint, so we've been working on it for in excess of about 6 months now. But we will have one soon that I'm looking to adapt right into the mount. And the only issue that we're going through right now is how do we make that affordable because it is quite expensive.
Right. So yes, keep on Mamiya to LPL. We definitely need more of those, Ron. Give us more focal reducers. Anthony says, can't wait, Ron. And Daniel cleared up a little bit of confusion regarding shooting 65 and then projecting to 70. That now makes sense
Okay.
because for a moment I got really confused. I was isn't it 65? But sometimes I hear 70. And as we all know, Daniel always has the answer. Thank you, Daniel.
He's my go-to guy.
What would we do without Daniel? He's forward. Sometimes people can think he's rude, but I love Daniel because he tells how it is. He's not.
Absolutely. No,
Yes.
we need that.
Keep it up, Daniel. Stay awesome. Stay the same. Don't need to change. We love you just the way you are.
I think there's a song.
Um, Good tip is that most shift lenses cover 65. Tilt and shift and LPL, is that something that's relevant at all, or is that's not the right
We've
combination?
actually the Canon FD 35 mil is a tilt and shift, and we actually moved away from that conversion kit simply because it's just so difficult to convert that lens even to EF, so let alone LPL. So it's not something that we like to convert because it's so difficult to remove some of the parts inside. However, it may be something that I can talk to Matt Duclos about and some of our industry friends to see if we can get that up and running again.
It was you, Dan Chang, our friend, that's commenting on Facebook, and I'm not seeing your name, I'm not seeing your beautiful picture. Please make sure that you enable StreamYard to see those things so I can display your face here. Well, not your face, but whatever you have here. You have a nice little picture of a photographer on your profile, and we want to see it on the live stream. So Dan, please enable that. And also Dan, we need to get on the live stream as well because you have so many things to say, I'm sure, about vintage lenses. Mark Hall says Daniel is tells tells how it is. We need that absolutely. So, guys, a reminder, make sure to comment LPL to enter the giveaway for the LPL conversion kit. And we'll pick a winner at the end of the stream. Let me see how many entries do we have so far. We only have 7 entries, so we need more comments.
Chances are good.
Not everyone is commenting. Few people maybe don't need an LPL conversion kit like Matthew, but everyone else must comment LPL below and answer the giveaway. And also, if you have any questions about anything Simmod Lens related, conversions and all other things, please drop a comment and we'll get to that comment towards the end of the stream. We only have about 20 minutes left anyway, so get those comments in. But meanwhile, I'm gonna come back to my questions, and that's one that's quite interesting to me, and that is biggest myths or misconceptions when it comes to lens conversion or lens modding in general.
I think the biggest myth, Alan, is the people can't decipher the difference between a rehousing and a modification. So we get a lot of questions. Can you convert or can you rehouse this Meyer optic or Russian lens that I've actually never even touched before? And I get that a lot. And can you rehouse it? And my answer is always no, because we don't do rehousing. We manufacture parts for modifying that lens to be used on modern cameras. So that is the biggest misconception is between modifying and rehousing. And then from there they'll tell me, well, how come you can't modify that lens, and why do I need to modify? Why do I need to rehouse? So there's a whole huge gamut of explanation reasons why you need to rehouse certain lenses in order to make it work. And also there's cost and innovation and research involved as well. So again, that's the biggest myth. One of the biggest myth that we get a lot is, is a modification reversible? Can that mount be removed, and can we go back to the native mount? And the answer is most of the times yes. There are certain Canon FD lenses that cannot be reversed once it's modified to EF or LPL. But for the majority of the lenses that we offer modifications to, it is reversible. Anything from the focus gear to the mount and declicking and reclicking, that all can be done. So those are the two biggest myths and misconceptions that we get.
Mm-hmm. I know you already said you don't really have a 12-month plan or 2-3 year plan, but you got to give us something. Tell us what's coming. So give us a hint what's coming in the next 12 months. I think you already gave us a little bit about focal reducers.
Yes.
Anything
So
else?
we're working on focal reducers to fit onto our mount conversions and to make it in a way, one that is simple to install and simple to convert without having to do a major recalibration of the lens. And so that's a major concern for me when developing a new product. I mean, we get asked on a daily basis if we can make certain solutions for various problems in the industry. And I think one of the major things that people have to think about is who's going to buy this solution? And I can sit all day and come up with solutions for things that I think are pain points for me, but it may not be a pain point for someone else. So I can develop a product in 3 to 6 months, put it out on the market, and then nobody buys it. So there's a lot of research and there's a lot of thought that has to go into certain products before we can even start developing it. So, I mean, like I said, we're on a 3-month sprint to develop things to see what sticks and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we'll just ditch it and we'll develop something else, because there's so many issues and there's so many solutions to develop. Another thing that we're working on is filtration. So we're figuring out ways on how to diffuse or create different looks from filtration from the original method that filter companies usually employ. So I really can't talk much more into that because we're delving into a lot of new methods on how we're going to develop filters and different looks. That doesn't involve grinding glass and merging two pieces of glass together. So and ultimately, to me, if I'm able to make something quicker, faster, it's going to be cheaper for everyone, and that's our end goal. We're constantly working on new mount conversions. In the next couple of weeks, you'll see Pentax Takamar M42 to LPL conversion. We've developed a locking system where the M42 mount will not screw off of the lens, specifically for Takamar lenses. Because of the way the design of the Takamar mount, we're able to incorporate a lock in there so it doesn't spin. Working on LPL mount for the new Cook SP3s, so that's coming out soon. And there's a lot more solutions that I just can't delve too much into right now because one, honestly, I don't know if it's going to work because we're constantly testing. And two, it's something that if it's not going to work, it's not going to be released, and there's no value in solving that problem.
Well, I got something out of you, which is all I could hope for, because you keep releasing those things just out of blue, and I'm like, what? Oh my God, this is so awesome, because you've done so many interesting products over even the last 12
It's
months.
so fun to develop something, to solve a problem. I mean, like I said, when I say we don't have a huge R&D team here. It's me and a couple engineers that develop this stuff. So it's not. I don't live in an area like Los Angeles where you have a pool of lens techs and a pool of technicians that I can resort to all the time. So we are moving fast. However, we can only go so fast as I can stay up on a given day.
Yeah. So everyone, last call for questions. If you want to ask anything personal, any lens preferences or anything Simmod related, get your questions in now. But I'm going to get back to my questions, and I'm going to get to the nerdy stuff now. My favorite stuff. So my favorite stuff is always, what is your favorite vintage lens set? Let's start with a set, just a whole set to use, and why. Can be photo, can be cinema, doesn't matter.
My go-to lenses are so when I'm shooting a major commercial, I really like the Leica Cine lenses, the full set from Leica. So I'm a big fan of that. I'm always a big fan of the Cook look, so I always resort to the Cook, the I series. Those are my favorite lenses, the S4s. I mean, they just have a consistent look that I constantly go to all the time. For modified lenses, I'm a huge fan of Canon FDs. I love the look of Canon FDs. However, I'm not a fan of the mechanical structure of how a Canon FD is built. However, I do love the optics of Canon FD. And then my other go-to is Leica Rs. I love the look of Leica Rs. I love the construction of Leica Rs and how they're built and the ability to convert them. And they're just so easy to convert back and forth if you ever want to go back to the R mount. So those are my favorite.
Brilliant. Well, quite a bit of Cook and Leica love in there, from both Cine and Photo World. Well, obviously Cook. There's nothing in Photo World from Cook. Though those new Cooks, you could kind of use them for manual photography, I guess, quite easily. They're quite compact. Yeah. So obviously those lenses are by no means underrated. Those are some of the most loved lenses out there. But I always want to know what are the most underrated single lenses or a lens set that is still somewhere in the shadows, in your opinion, if you can give us that opinion.
This is a loaded question, and I actually woke up in the middle of the night thinking of this answer because I'm thinking, if I give the wrong answer or whatever answer I give, somebody's going to go buy those lenses, and the price on those lenses is going to skyrocket the next morning, and I'm going to be blamed for it. I mean, the Tacomars are some of the most underrated lenses, I think. Um, and the look of the Pentax is classic as well. It's the roll off is beautiful. It may not be the most suited lens for cine because of the size and the way the mechanics of some of the focal lengths work. But to me, still at a good price point, and what you're able to accomplish from those lenses, I think the Tacomars are, in my opinion, are more underrated than the rest of the other vintage lenses on the market.
Agreed. Agreed. Nice answer. Nice answer. Definitely, those lenses need a bit more love, and they deserve a bit more love. So, guys, last call to enter the giveaway because we're gonna get to the questions here from all of you, and after we answer those few questions, we're gonna choose the winner of the LPL conversion kit. So if you haven't commented LPL on either of the platforms that you're watching from, make sure to do that now, so we have your entry. Right, so let's see what comments we have here. I've got some. Okay, so what cameras are LPL at the moment, and why should I buy an LPL adapter for my FX3? From Bart.
Well, the FX3 can be adapted to LPL using an FX using an LPL to E-mount adapter very easily. We have quite a few FX3s and FX cameras here that I test on a regular basis, so that's very easy. Again, we've discussed the pros of LPL, so that's a given. I mean, there are certain lenses that you cannot convert to E because of the flange distance in an E mount. So you still need to either go to EF or LPL, and that's one of the main reasons why I think it's a better idea to get an adapter for LPL for your FX3.
Brilliant. Next one. It would be worth asking about more recommendations for converged lenses. What are the issues with the stronger ones, for instance, follow focus motors?
I actually, honestly, the ones we use on our system here are the Tilta Nanos. One, they're not super powerful, and they're not as strong as the bigger motors, because you have to remember that, again, these vintage lenses that we're working with were never designed to have a motor installed on them. It was never designed to go from hard from one end to the other constantly. So you have to be very mindful of what motors you put on these lenses. Actually, going back to our question about what we're developing next, we're developing a plastic stopper that we're going to include in every follow focus gear, so that you snap it onto the follow focus gear, and you can position it wherever you want, and it will hit that stopper before going to the end of the hail coil. So that's very important to me, and that actually it's something that means a lot to me to help solve. And picking the right follow focus motor that's not too strong is the way to go. You don't need the most expensive one for vintage lenses.
Brilliant. That was Dan Chang, by the way. Still not showing up, Dan, but I know that was you. An interesting one from Anthony here. LPL Minolta.
Again, we started working on an LPL to EF conversion system for Minoltas. However, we had to ditch that project because of the inconsistencies in some of the Minolta lenses. When you really don't notice them until you start opening the lenses up and you look at how the aperture is controlled and how that aperture is connected to the mount and so on. So in order to develop a mount conversion for it, there are so many bespoke parts that we have to develop for that lens in order to be converted. And the other question is how easy it is for a user to do it at home. And that those two things are constantly evolving in my head when I'm developing a solution. Is one, how possible is it, and two, how easy it is to do. So right now, I may go back to looking into a solution for that, but it's just too difficult to do right now.
Great. So we have one from Sean here. Is it possible to make PL to PL focal reducer? I don't know. Do you have an opinion on this?
PL to
LP
PL.
is so PL to PL focal reducer.
I don't see why not, actually. No, I'm not sure, but I don't see why not. I don't, then again, I don't know why anyone hasn't done it yet, or maybe they have.
New product idea. Okay, very relevant one here from David. Which versions of Takumars? Oh, do you like? I thought which ones do you make the mounts for? No, just actually asking you which particular ones do you like?
A focal length or version? I mean, there's I didn't know there were multiple versions.
Well, there are the the older ones,
Yeah.
and then there are sort of more, I guess, modern Pentax ones that are they still
Okay.
sort of marked as Takumars? I think they still marked as Takumars. They're not that popular, but I guess you are referring to the classical ones,
I'm
obviously
referring
M42
to the
ones.
classic M42s. Yes, those are the ones that I'm most familiar with.
Yeah, and David says he already has a whole set ready for your LPL
Actually,
mounts.
I think it was David that messaged me about a year ago asking me for a solution for Pentax Takumars and creating a system where it wouldn't accidentally spin off the mount. So that, thank you, David. I think it was you that approached me with that pain point.
Right, so the next one, I can't find who was that on Facebook, but they just sold their Takumars yesterday. Shame on
Whoever
you.
bought it's going to have the advantage.
The buyer, if you're watching it, you are probably going to be very happy. So another one who's asking this. This is Austin here asking on Facebook thoughts on Tomioka lenses. Have you got any experience with Tomioka lenses?
No, I don't. No.
I don't even think I have.
I've never had one before in my hands.
Yeah, maybe underrated glass right there, guys. Let's look into Tomioka lenses a bit more after the stream. And is the stream available afterwards? Yes, absolutely. This is going to be on YouTube and on Facebook, posted afterwards. What else do we have here? So another one from David. Is it possible to create a conversion kit or adapter for M42 that prevents it from screwing on set? Well, you already said it, right?
Yes, that's what
Maybe
we've
David missed
developed
it.
for the Takumars. Yeah, that's what we've developed for the Takumars because there's this little pin that sticks out from the M42 mount on the Takumars, and what we're able to do is connect a locking ring to that pin to prevent it from spinning off. Our M42 conversion to LPL works on majority, if not all, the M42 lenses out there, whether be the Takumars or Russian lenses, they will work. However, with the Takumar specifically, it will have that locking ring that we're going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks.
Oh, finally we can see Dan Chang here the way it was always intended. Thank you, Daniel. Well, Dan, not Daniel. Daniel is our. there's a Daniel and there's Dan.
What I need to do is go to Daniel's home in London and raid his lens closet, because maybe then I'll have access to a Tomica lens.
Yes, and now that I think of it, I might have had a 51.4 at some point, and maybe I loved it, but it was a long time ago. I don't remember. But Dan has all the lenses. That's why I need to get the Dan on the live stream, because he has so much knowledge. Dan's been into vintage lenses way before me.
Yeah.
I just sort of got super excited and I started this community. But Dan is one of those sort of OG guys that actually has everything and knows everything. So
and knows everyone.
And knows everyone. So Dan, let's set a date for a live stream. Nisi lenses. Any experience with Nisi lenses?
I've not had experience with Nisi lenses. However, I mean, they look great. They look amazing, and I'm sure their images are going to be amazing coming out of them. I mean, one of the things that we're looking into developing is how do we work with modern lenses and converting them or transforming the images from them to have maybe vintage looks or changing looks of modern optics as well. So that's something we're experimenting.
David says that's great about what you just described regarding the locking mounts. So David's happy, which is what we want. And an interesting one from John here, which a very loaded one. I'm not sure this is possible, but can you reinvent the internal focusing system without rehousing, making it more motor and clip-on matte box friendly, but still using original housing? Any thoughts?
I think at that point you may want to just buy a modern lens or a lens that rotates the direction that you want. Again, there are so many problems in certain parts that most of the problems that we're getting asked to develop parts for aren't even our parts. And for something like that, the answer would be I think you do need to rehouse the lens to change the internal focus on the lens. I don't think there's anything externally you can do.
So Austin here says that Tomioka lenses are often rebranded as Sears or Pentax. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. So I think we are. Well, we crossed over an hour, so we're gonna be wrapping up anyway. But I think we're through all the questions by now. Well, Daniel just Dan. Dan just has to insert another question. No, a comment. That's exactly the lens that I've had. I think the 55 1.4. It was quite a cool lens, to be honest.
What mount
Here we
is
go.
it?
M42, if I remember correctly, right, Dan?
M42.
Is it M42? So maybe we can stick
Well,
an LPL
then
mount
you
on that
can
as well.
convert it to LPL. There you go, Dan.
Yes,
I'll send one
M42
to
mount
you.
is cool. So just explain it to me again, just to me personally. Obviously, you can convert any M42 mount to LPL, but can you lock any M42 mount the way you can lock Takumars? Only very specific ones that can be locked in.
Only the Takamars are the ones that we can apply the locking ring onto because of the special tab that the Takamars have in the rear of their M42 mounts. And that tab was what stops it, or it's what connects to the Pentax camera, the older Pentax camera. So we were able to utilize that small little tab to create the lock. I've spent hours just looking at an M42 mount and seeing how to do it. And I finally saw this little tab on the Pentax Takamar that I was able to manipulate and make it work. So only on the Takamars.
Brilliant.
However,
Brilliant.
our mount does screw on onto M42s, and you can lock it with certain set screws on the side to prevent it from locking. But to prevent it from spinning off the native thread is very difficult.
Correct. Yeah, makes sense. Dan's Tomioka is actually FD.
Oh, that's the worst. Good luck converting
Bad
that.
luck. Bad luck. Okay, so I'm not looking at any more comments. So hopefully everyone asked what they want to ask. What we're gonna do now is pick the winner of the conversion kit. So let me just switch off this last comment here. Where is it? Yes, that's it. So if you haven't entered yet, you basically have a few seconds left to enter. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna get into the share screen. And we're gonna do the right. So it looks like we have 10 entries. And what I need to do now is press draw, and we'll see who won the LPL conversion kit. Oh, it's coming, it's coming.
Ah, cool.
Hey.
Congratulations, Sean.
Here's Sean. Get in touch with me or Ron afterwards, and we will sort out that conversion kit for you. Thanks for
I'm going to be
entering.
interested. I'm going to be interested to see which one he will choose.
Well, Sean, if you're still here and if you're seeing it, you can actually drop a comment below. Otherwise, just get in touch with us later on. So we're pretty much wrapped up. We're beyond an hour, and I've got just one last question that I like to ask nowadays. And my last question is, if you could only use one lens for the rest of your life, what would it be?
It's going back to the Leica R 60mm f 2.8 macro. It's the lens that I started converting first of all, and it's honestly the lens that I use on a daily basis. If you're not familiar with our brand photography, so I do all our product photography myself, and it's the go-to lens that I have always on my camera for brand, product photography to portrait to anything. It's the lens that I travel with. So the Leica R 62.8 macro is my go-to.
Love it. Love it. You've started with that lens and you've ended with that lens.
I'm sticking with it.
How cool is that? Right. So that's it. That wraps up our live stream. Thanks so much, Ron, for joining me today. That was a lot of fun.
Thank you,
with so
Alan.
many cool things. And thanks
Thank
everyone
you.
who joined us today as well. We love the comments, and it's always fun to do it live. That's why I do it live. So if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe on YouTube so that you actually see those things and you don't miss the next one, because it's so easy to miss, but it's so much fun to be part of the live together with you guys. So thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks, Ron, and we'll see you again somewhere on the internet.
Thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye everyone.